Why am I here? Because gun violence is a major problem in every community now, and it's something that has to be addressed. If we don't have these difficult conversations, then it'll never get addressed.
You know, we've seen a large uptick in the effect on young people. You know, guns are now the leading cause of death.
I'm proud to introduce another victim of gun violence, a father, a successful businessman, and a gun violence survivor who isn't afraid to stand up for what's right.
One parent who doesn't shudder a little bit when they hear about breaking news and they see the news, break into the program to learn about yet another mass shooting at a school. And is it going to be their child's school this time? We've had over 392 mass shootings alone this year, and we're only halfway through the year. By the time this year's done, we're going to have close to 23 to 24,000 people whose lives were taken with a gun. We first got involved in this at For Latino, following the mass shooting at the Walmart in El Paso, when we learned about the young man who went to hunt Latinos and succeeded in killing 23 and wounding another 22. And we were surprised when we saw there was no other national organization, Latino organization, taking on this issue. So that's why we decided and said we have to get involved. We have to do something to educate our community and to take action and to pass common sense gun violence prevention measures.
You had an important event that called the attention of a whole community. Can you tell us how that went?
Recently learned it was the largest event of its type here held in the state in history. We put together what was called the Emergency Gun Violence Summit, and we invited people from all communities from all over the state to come and learn about the facts around gun violence. There's a lot of people out there saying there's groups trying to take our guns, they're trying to violate our constitutional amendments. I will tell you, I am a firearm owner. I grew up hunting, javelina and white-tailed deer, wild boar, down in the southern plains of Texas. So that's not what it's about. It's about keeping guns from falling into the hands of those who by law are already prohibited from owning them. So we brought all these groups together. We shared the facts, the numbers around the number of gun deaths. There's a misperception that it's a city issue, it's an urban issue, or that it's a black and brown issue. No. Gun violence is impacting every community throughout our state, and it doesn't matter whether you're white, black, or brown, you have a high incidence rate of gun violence impacting your family, whether it's by suicide, whether it's by traditional homicide, or sadly, we're also seeing a dramatic increase in deaths due to domestic violence with people using a gun. So there is just so much information. We knew we had to share it out with everyone throughout the state.
Darryl, tell us about the organizations who are being part of this coalition called 80%.
We call it the 80% coalition because 80% of all Wisconsinites, and that includes Republicans and Democrats, right? Voters, they want this common sense measures that we're calling for. But we have everybody from the Archdiocese of Milwaukee to the Greater Milwaukee Synod, to Wisconsin Council of Churches, the Milwaukee Jewish Federation, all these faith-based organizations. And then what started happening, the National Gun Violence Prevention Organization started reaching out to us. So we're partners now with Giffords, Moms Demand Action, March for Our Lives, the Wisconsin Anti-Violence Effort, and more. So here we are representing literally millions of Wisconsin voters saying it's time to put the politics aside and it's time to start passing laws that will save Wisconsin lives. So right now, if you're a convicted felon, you are not supposed to own a firearm. If a convicted felon goes to a licensed firearm dealer, they have to do a background check on them. That's the law. However, when they get turned away there, and we know it works because millions get turned away every year, they're able to go online or go to a gun show and just buy one privately through a private seller. And that's what we call the background check loophole. So everybody agrees we need to close that loophole. So if a convicted felon can't simply go online and buy a semi-automatic rifle and hunt people. The second thing we're calling for are red flag laws. And the perfect example of that is what happened in El Paso. The mother of the shooter there, the man who went and shot all those people and killed all those people in El Paso, she called the police begging and pleading with him to take away his semi-automatic rifle. She said he is not responsible enough, he has mental issues, he should not have this weapon. And they said, sorry, ma'am, we don't have a red flag law in the state of Texas. And 2 weeks later, look what went and happened. And those types of things are happening here in Wisconsin as well. So we're calling for the closing of those background checks, so there's no loopholes anymore. And then number two, for these red flag laws, they're also called ERPOs, or extreme risk protection orders. And then lastly, we're asking for the state to pass safe storage laws to increase the age on that, because sadly, we're still seeing way too many young people, infants, finding these firearms, playing with them, and tragically taking their own lives or lives of a loved one. So these are things that we can immediately change with some common sense reforms.
Nothing has changed the conditions that we face, Darryl, as I mentioned before. Why do you think that this time this coalition can do it?
Well, I think we're really seeing a critical mass happen. Like I said, people are tired of waking up every day and seeing in the news that another child has been shot, another school has had a mass shooting event, etc. And we're also starting to see that people in the rural areas of Wisconsin, as well as the rest of the country, are realizing that actually more gun violence happens in rural communities than in cities. So it doesn't get talked about as much because the issue of suicide isn't widely reported, but more people die by suicide using a gun than by any other form of gun violence. So people are seeing, wait a minute, it's not just a Milwaukee issue anymore. It's not just a Madison issue. No, it's impacting all of our communities.
What is next for Wisconsin First? Or how are you planning to do this?
We're asking first for the legislature to hold hearings, because today they wouldn't even allow, current leadership wouldn't even allow a hearing on it because they know these measures are so well supported. So we're saying it's time to start holding it up, hear the people, hold hearings, and then you need to vote on these measures. Now, we're also holding Wisconsin's statewide day of action. It's being organized by WAVE, the Wisconsin Anti-Violence Effort. They're a very dear partner of ours. And we're asking everybody who's been impacted by gun violence, which sadly is most families, right? We all know somebody who's been impacted by this. We're asking them all to take the day off and go to Madison with us. And we'll schedule the meetings with the legislators and demand once and for all that they act on the will of the people and pass these common sense measures. So if people go to forlatino.org and click on Take Action, you're going to see an option for the 80% Coalition. And we have that updated with videos from the Gun Violence Summit, presentations, statistics, and shortly we're going to be listing the registration information that we need so you can come and participate with us on our statewide day of action. And if anybody wants to call or you have questions, please feel free to call us at 833-LATINO-1. And at the end, it's an O, it's not a 0. So give us a call and we can answer any questions you may need. And last, I want to just add too, as I mentioned, the majority of gun deaths in Wisconsin as well as across the country are due to suicide. So if you know somebody who's battling with depression, etc., or you yourself are, and you have access to a firearm in your household, please take a moment, give it to somebody to hold on to it for you through your episode. And we urge you to call 988 immediately. There's resources and there's help out there for you. You are not alone. There are better days coming.
One random act of kindness can change someone's life and could save it. And by doing so, you could save the world. Do what you can to be the light in someone's life today. My name is Corey Pennybaker, and I'm my mother's voice. Thank you.